Hi everyone. It's Ben here with I think yeah. It's my first tutorial workflow kind of thing. Um yeah, I don't normally do stuff like this. I'm not good with talking and making it sound good. I'm also not great at teaching people things, so I'm pretty much just gonna be working through like how I do things. I guess it's pretty bare bones though. I don't want to ever come off to anyone like I'm some sort of expert, like I know everything there is to know about 3D. Like I've been doing this for years or something. No, it's been like, how long has it been since I discovered Blender? I think it's been close to a year. It's coming up on a year now. I think I'm getting close. I'm not 100% sure. So I haven't even been doing 3D stuff for very long. But in that year, I've learned a lot, met a lot of super cool people, super awesome community. I don't know. I love that I'm in some way, I guess, a part of it now. But I guess I'm in some way giving back to the community with this tutorial workflow thing. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Gonna be just putting together a scene, hopefully from start to finish, and you guys can follow along. It should be up on YouTube sometime. I don't know. I may get it all done today and uploaded and shit. I really don't know. But anyways, yeah, I'll kind of just show you how I do things. It's pretty bare bones. I'm not an expert again by any means. So first things first. Oh yeah, I forgot a while ago. Okay, so if I press N here to open up this properties panel here, there used to be an option under, I don't know if it was under transform orientations or property. I don't know what it was under, but there used to be a screencast keys thing where there'd be this little thing down here and you could see whatever keys I'm pressing, which really helps anyone that's following along. If they don't know what you just did, they can keep an eye on that. And they took it out of Blender, unfortunately. So I did figure out what I have to do is go to text editor, then what was it? Open. This isn't part of the tutorial. I'm just setting up the I guess the screencast keys thing. There we go. Okay, so I just ran it. So no? Oh yeah, good on here. Start display. Boom. See this? And times 8, 9, Alright, so first I'm going to select everything using the A key. You can select or unselect, right? X and click to delete everything. That's first step. Then up here at the top I'm going to select cycles render. Also first, I should say that I'm gonna try not to go into explicit detail with absolutely everything and explain entire concepts like resolution, but I'm expecting that most people watching this will have some kind of understanding of 3D stuff or Blender and anything. Cinema 4D, Maya shit. I've never even used Maya. I have no idea. But anyways, I'm kind of going off the basis that people have some, at least basic understanding of how to do stuff. So I'm gonna try not to run through every little detail, but it's like GPU compute, because my CPU is pretty shit. I definitely need to upgrade, but okay. Let me think here. Now, what I usually do for resolution, just because, I put a lot of my stuff, not all of it, but a lot of my stuff on Society 6, but I usually just put the resolution to match the, let me think here, the resolution of Instagram. Just because I don't know, it's good. I like vertical oriented photos and art stuff more. I don't know why, but yeah, which I believe is 1080 by 1350, and just because it's good for Society 6, I'll put it at I'll scale it by 200% or 250%. Let's do that. I don't know. Click border render, which that's just what I do. For now, I'm not going to explain everything. I'm just going through exactly what I choose to set everything up before I actually start putting stuff together. So go to 16-bit color depth for sampling. We go with 2500 for the final, 250 for preview. For indirect clamping, I'll put that at 3 because I've generally found that this really helps with noise but doesn't mess with lighting. all that much, like make it too dark or anything. And for the like render tile size for GPU, I found 256 is a good sweet spot. Blender anyways, don't know how these settings all translate to other programs. I used to do denoising, but then I got a 1070 Ti, which does a good enough job rendering wise, like time wise, you know, that I figured, you know, I'm cool with waiting. I don't really like messing with denoising because it just, I hate the artifacts that it creates. I don't like the loss of detail. I'd rather wait it out and have a little bit more detail, I guess. And for Blender anyways, I don't think this applies to other programs. Under color management, you gotta be using Filmic. Not film, right here. Not film. You gotta be using Filmic. And I can't really explain why in depth. There's a whole video that Andrew Price over at Blender Guru made, and it's a fantastic video on why Filmic is, like, you should be using Filmic color space, and then you can mess with this. This is just up to your liking. You go there, and then for the like surface, like world background, whatever, I just remove that because I don't like having that extra ambient light in there. And yeah, that's generally the setup I go with just to start things off, right? No shit. Okay, here's the tough part. Now, what exactly am I gonna be doing? Oh yeah, I was going to, let me find the file, the image, or I guess it is a file. This is gonna be slow. This might take a while. I don't know, man. I don't know how long I should just wait around, keeping you guys waiting, or if I should just try putting it together from memory. I'll take one good look at it, and then I'll put it together from memory. I need stuff later to load, like down here. Where is this? Where is it? Could have sworn it was somewhere, like right here. Here we go. This scene, I really like this scene. This was one of the first scenes where I felt like I put a decent amount of effort into it. I mean, it took a while because I'd never really gone for much realism. It had always just been, you know, just random colorful abstract shit, right? Just super simple stuff. But this is the first one that I suppose I put some, you know, a decent level of effort into it, creating some sort of realism. And yeah, I guess we'll try to recreate something like this from start to finish. It's going to be very rough though. Oh my lord. Okay. Boy, okay, let's get going. Now, first things first, let's get a street going. So I'm gonna press 7 to go into top view. I'm gonna create a plane. I'm gonna click tab to go into edit mode, A to select or unselect everything. Z is wireframe if you want to toggle that on and off. So whenever I'm working with modeling anything, which is usually super bare bones simple stuff, I just go ahead and use wireframe unless you don't want to select it, especially when it's just a plane or something. I don't know. Click B for like box select, so you can, you know, drag a box. You see that down here, right? B. Yeah. Click B, select something. Going to just drag this out along the y-axis. Going to tap Y to restrict it to the y-axis. Drag it out something like that. And you know, let's do the same here. I don't know. You know what? No, we're good. Okay. So I'm trying to think of like camera perspective. How's this gonna go? Boy, you know what? Okay, let's size this up twice. Move it along the y-axis a little bit over. And just because it's bugging me, I'm gonna select these and move them in. Oops. Boom. There we go. Okay, so we have our road / street thing, right? Okay, first let's I can click Shift and F and then just move the like view around, I guess. I'm not like in a camera or anything right now, but I can at least like move the view around. So we're gonna go with something like this. Decent perspective. Yeah, one thing I'm not good with is scaling. I am not good with figuring out the scale of things. Like, I have no idea if this is in like Blender units. I have no idea if this translates to like 40 miles long or like 40 in like centimeters long, or I don't know, dude. Pretty yeah, I just, you know, I kind of just throw shit together to see if it works. So once I've kind of got the view that I want, generally what I do is then I add in a camera, and again from the view I'm currently at, I hit Control-Alt-0, and that sets the camera to where your current view model was. Pretty nice. And I haven't saved this, so I'm gonna click Control-S. I just save everything under projects and then just put a date on it, which is not good for identifying things if I want to find something, but at least things are in chronological order. So if I save all the final images in order, I can generally, you know, pinpoint where something might be if I need to go back to something or find an object that I wanted to save and export as an OBJ or whatever it happens to be. But anyways, for now, I'm gonna go with the date. So 2018, 3 March 7th. Yeah, that's it. 2018 3/7 dot blend. All right. And also, I don't know why I have a bad habit of saving things constantly. Like if I'm not quite sure what to do next, I'll literally just keep it in Control-S and enter. Just keep saving it, saving it, saving it. I don't know why. It's not a bad habit, but I'm sure it would get annoying constantly. Just boop. Okay. So we've got a street looking thing, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in a cube. So we're gonna, here, let's focus in on this cube with the period button. Actually, let's go in top view mode. Okay, so I'm gonna size this down on the Y, oops, not Y. Hold on. I'm gonna size this down on the X axis to make some sort of like concrete barrier thing. If you guys saw that in that image, right? Let's size it on the Z a tad. It's maybe a little tall there. Let's go with something like, that looks about right, I suppose. Alright, and now I'm just going to size it on the y-axis up. Again, I'm not great with scale, and I'm sure this will really mess with textures and whatnot, but, you know, bear with me here. Again, I just kind of throw stuff together. If it works, it works. I'm not, you know, I don't get into the nitty-gritty, I suppose. Kind of throw things together. Alright, so down here we have our street thing. Actually, maybe what I should do is I don't know. What am I looking for? There we go. I like ambient occlusion. It does help with, I don't know, seeing where things are intersecting and whatnot. Okay, so we have our street here. We have our barrier thing. Oh yeah, this is what I generally do step by step. I'll generally try to construct the overall scene in simple objects like this, just simple stuff, and then get into the texturing and the details if I need to fix models. But anything that I need to model is usually pretty basic. It's usually it's almost never anything terribly complex, because again, I'm not an expert by any means at modeling. Okay, so we got something like this. So we have our street, and I just duplicated this plane and put another one over here. You can see the outline. Just because if I don't have this one here, then, you know, this area is missing. I don't know. I'll probably just continue the street texture over here. So we got that. And then I remember what I did for the city. Hold on, I'll show you guys. Give me just a moment. Alright, where is it? Right here. So, so down here, this city looking thing, I will show you guys kind of how to do that. It's pretty simple. It's pretty cool. I don't know how realistic it is. I don't know if it creates a realistic looking city. It probably doesn't. But it gets the job done enough that you more than likely know it's supposed to be kind of city, urban, sorta something or other, right? So generally what I will do is, okay, so we have review here. I'm gonna go up here in the top right corner, or I guess I could go down here, whatever I want to do. I'm gonna split the view. So generally right here on my left is where I would keep the rendered. Click Shift Z to do that, like preview render, but here, I'll add in a sun lamp just so you can see what's going on. Alright, so I have a sun lamp in here, right? So at least you have some light you can see. Now, generally what I'll do is I'll have the preview render thing over here, and then I'll actually work with stuff and manipulate things over here. Just how I lay things out, I suppose. Sometimes if I need to, I'll kind of compress this down if I feel like I need extra space. Or I guess I don't need the timeline. I could have gotten rid of that, but whatever, we're good for now. So I'm going to add in a plane. It's dead center. Let's click 7 to go into top view. First, let's move it out here, size it up, and let's check our camera view. See at what point the plane appears within our view. So for now, if we want to, you know, we don't want these edges to show up like that, right? We're going to size it along the y-axis like that. Generally, actually, no. What am I thinking? What did I do? I'm trying to remember how exactly it is that I made this. I think I just duplicated the plane. I think that's all I did. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. We have the plane in our view. It's looking good where it's at anyway. So I'm going to go into, like, zoom in on the plane here with the number pad, period, right? So I'll go into edit mode with tab. First, I'll subdivide it. Not smooth subdividing, because that, like, you know, cuts corners, I guess, in a literal sense, not figurative. Click W for this specials menu, whatever. Once I'm in edit mode, I can click W on whatever selected faces I have selected, and I can do various things with it. So I'm going to subdivide it just a number of times, something like that. After I've subdivided the whole plane like that, not too much. You don't want to get too high poly right off the start, right? But after I've subdivided it a few times there, I'll unselect everything. I'll go to select, click random. Oops, hold on. First, let's go into face select rather than vertex, because I need to select specifically faces, not vertexes or edges. So I'll go to select random, and usually I'll do, if I click T for the tool panel or whatever, I don't have to be under tools, but where is it? Right down here. So while you're doing stuff in edit mode, especially, like, I can't explain this. I can't get terribly in depth, but so if I am in edit mode on this plane, if I click select and random, this little menu here pops up. You can select what percentage of the faces are selected. Generally what I do for this city extrusion kind of thing is I'll select 50%. Actually, no, usually I go with, like, first 70%, click W, subdivide, unselect everything, select random, then I'll go to, like, 50%, W, subdivide. And I'll do something like that. That's it. Just a couple iterations like that, to where we have some different kind of faces we could extrude. You know, there's a little variation, right? It's not perfectly, you know, clean cut, cookie cuttered squares, right? So, again, while in edit mode, I'm going to, one final time, we're done with the subdivision. One final time, I'm going to go to select and random, and I'll usually go with, like, usually I'll start it on the low end this time. Let's go with like 30%. Let's extrude these on the Z axis up a little. Not too much, just a tad, because remember, if we're looking over here, we want the, you know, buildings to look like they're off in the distance, right? So after I've selected some faces, I think I did like 30%, or I think I did 30. Extrude them up just a bit to where it looks here, you know, like they could plausibly be buildings. So we're looking good so far. So now what I'll do is I'll go back into, with these faces selected, we don't want to unselect those. I'll go to select again, click random, but then I'll change the action to deselect, and I'll turn this up to something like, yeah, 75%. Sounds good. And then those faces I'll extrude up just a tad, not too much, again, just a little more. And then generally what I'll do is, okay, so now that creates a little bit of variation in here. That's good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into top view. I'm going to go into wireframe view. Don't know why, I guess I just prefer it. I don't know if it adds any functionality. What I'm going to do is first I'm going to click C for circle select. You know, B is box select, C is circle select. I'll click C for circle select, and I will click this area in the middle, right there. I mean, I guess you can determine how much of this overall surface you want to select, but that's generally, like, this is okay with me. I'll go with that, and then I'll click O for proportional editing. I think it kind of, you can see down here, if I click O, it's on enabled. So once I do that, then I will click G for grab and scale things up to give a little height variation. I mean, it's not much, just a tad. I'll do something like that. Don't know why. I think it does help. It's very, very minimal. I don't know. I mean, this is generally a just mess with it, do whatever you want kind of thing. You know, there's no rules really with how to do something like this. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I guess I'll actually go back and select, even though I don't have, even though I won't be selecting just these top faces. I'll go back into edit mode, click select random. I'll do like, change the action to select this time. I'll go to like 10% of the faces, extrude those up, see what that looks like. Okay, that looks a little better. I like the little bit of height over here, the viewport. I like that. That's looking okay. So now, what I'm gonna do is go back into top view. I'm going to unselect a lot of stuff on the edges, because I want the central focal point of the city to be higher buildings, I suppose. You know what? Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll go into here. I'll select just honestly random faces. Like, it doesn't have to be anything, but just in this central area. You know what I mean? I wanted to, you know, give the resemblance of like a downtown area, and then generally, for some reason, in all cities downtown, you know, buildings are taller. Looks cool. So that's generally what I'll do, is select some faces around the middle central area, maybe bigger blocks back here. Don't really know exactly how this is going to look, but you know, just random faces like that. And then those faces, I will extrude upwards. And alright, look at that. We're getting a little bit of a downtown kind of look now. Aren't we? Beautiful. But, you know, if you look over here, it's really, really tall, and then it all drops off. I guess it's realistic enough. But, you know, it's good enough. It's good enough for me. That's what I'll do. So what I'm going to do one final time after I've gotten the overall form of the city, how I like it, I suppose, I'm going to go back into select random. This time I'll do 50%. I'm going to subdivide it once more, so we have various faces to create more realistic lighting. And by now there's, I mean, like 50,000 tries anyways. I don't know why I just always look at tries, but you know, it's not all that high poly at all. No worries. But you know, I guess just keep an eye, because you can, if you let the subdivision get out of hand, you can definitely end up with something that's super, super high poly, and you know, that's just not good. That'll slow everything down. So after we've done that, what we're gonna do, oh yeah, one thing I do want to tell you guys is with this scene, I'm not gonna mess around with the person, just because well, actually, you know, I'll at least put the same person in the scene, I guess, because I did save this woman as a OBJ file, but yeah, I guess I'll do that. But I'll show you just super simple lights, even though I'm not great with modeling or texturing. I mean, it's just all super simple stuff. The trees are super simple to do. These plants are just a OBJ file I have. You know, simple street textures. This is actually like a plaster texture, I think, but you know, it worked okay, even though the texture doesn't really make sense. Like, where it's worn down just doesn't make sense as to why it would be more worn down there. You know, there's no context with the textures. I'm pretty much just slapping them on there, and if it works, it works. I don't know. I kind of do have a lazy approach to 3D stuff. I try to just go for an overall concept or look rather than absolute perfection, unless it's necessary, you know. It's I don't know, you can do as you please, I suppose. So I remember what I did. The problem that I was having not too long ago was wondering, like, okay, did I make the city span the entire horizon here, or did I just have it in part and then it was just too dark to tell that there was nothing over here? Or yeah, here we go. And I think what I did was I duplicated this. Now I'm going to do, instead of Shift D to just duplicate it and create an object with separate data, if that makes any sense, I'm going to do Alt D, which creates another copy of it, but it keeps the same attributes. It keeps the same, it's like, it's an iteration, I suppose. I can't really explain that, but I mean, I'm actually gonna size this on the Y. I don't know. I need to fill in this area, and I'm sure this is a rather unorthodox method of doing this kind of stuff, but hold on, what am I doing? I'm gonna rotate this one around the Z axis 180 degrees, just so we get a different view of things, like that. Boom. Okay, we are looking alright. We've at least covered the whole horizon here from, I guess, like left to right or right to left, whatever. So we got that. So down here we would have a street thing. Down here we have a kind of barrier, something or other. Then we have our city down here, and these two I'm now just going to select both of them with shift. I can select one, hold shift, click the other, and then do control J to combine them. I don't know why it's control J. I haven't rebinded that or anything, but it's control J. I'm going to save my progress so far. So you know, think about it. All we've done so far is, you know, 2 planes, super simple, cube just resized, and then kind of randomly subdivided and extruded plane. You know, pretty simple stuff. I don't know. People that want to get into 3D stuff but aren't quite sure, you know, like are worried about the learning curve and whatnot. Most of what, at least I do, I can't speak for anyone else, but most of what I do is just, it's super simple, pretty bare bones. You know, I'm not an expert by any means. I just really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy having the freedom to put together ideas that I have with some sort of ability to, you know, get close to what I'm imagining. You know, it's just, it's a good creative outlet. It's different than anything I'd ever found before, I suppose. But anyways, yeah, just saying, anyone can do it. No problem. As long as you can, you know, use a computer and you're willing to put a bit of time into it, you can learn it. So yeah, that's that. Now, next step, let's create some light poles. Yeah, let's do that. Now I'm sure, oh yeah, just to say, obviously the scale here is not quite correct. I don't literally have a city-sized plane way off in the distance, like down here, and the street would be up here in the foresty hills or something, right? I don't know. It's, you know, scale I'm not good with. I'm just keeping things as is. It works for me. Alright. Jeez, I've not done a tutorial before. This is already exhausting, but you know, I'm gonna keep going. So what did I do for the light poles? Oh yeah, we're gonna add a cylinder in. So we have here our cylinder. So first, let's size this down, because obviously it's a really big light pole. Let's size that down a tad. Let's go into top view with the number pad 7, and then I believe I just put it kind of behind the street barrier thing here, right? So first what I'm gonna do is just size this on the z-axis, which in I think the axes between various platforms like C4D or Maya or whatever else, I think most of them Y is up and down, then X and Z are like forward and backward, left, right, something or other. But for some reason in Blender, if you haven't changed them, like I haven't, Z is up and down, then X and Y are left and right or forward, backward, whichever way you want to view it. But okay, so here we actually, let's size this down just a bit more. No, I suppose we're good. And then kind of just move it wherever we want to move it. I suppose that's looking alright. So let's click numpad period to go onto this light pole thing. You know, it's not sitting on anything, just a cylinder floating in air. So gonna go into edit mode first of all, and just for the sake of texturing, once I'm in edit mode, there's no cuts along this whole cylinder, right? There are these, like, this is one face, it's just stretched all the way from top to bottom, right? So what we're gonna do to help with texturing, so I guess it's easier, I don't know, I'm sure it's probably unnecessary, but it's just a habit I've formed. Anytime I have super stretched out shapes like that, I'll generally put a handful of cuts in it, just whatever number works. Oops. So I'm gonna do Control R for that and use scroll wheel to select how many cuts I want to make. So generally, I don't want to create too many faces, but then I'll left click, or I guess yeah, left click. Then right click to keep them in place, like evenly spaced. And so we have our cuts now, so hopefully that'll help with texturing, although I really don't know that much about texturing. I don't know if it's terribly relevant. But, okay, so right now, it's going to click Shift F to go in here, closer on here, right? Okay, so I'm going to go into edit mode, going to click face select, and then I'm going to click 1 for, I think it's front view, I don't really know, in all honesty. And this, like this stuff, this is what I mean when I say my modeling skills are definitely not top notch. So generally, I have a really difficult time modeling things. So just bear with me here. I'm literally just doing this all by hand, no modifiers or something. So I'm going to extrude this. Hold on. Extrude. Then I believe I should be able to. So yeah, I'm pretty much gonna extrude this. Go over a little bit. Oops. Hold on a minute. What am I doing? Oh yeah, proportional. Oh, that's what's going on. So click O to turn that off again. Then I'll literally just adjust things as needed, right? Like it's pretty bare bones. I mean, yes. Let's rotate this bit, drag it out. Then we'll extrude this way, rotate, and now we're looking about level, close to it anyways. Extrude along the X, and boom. Let's add a couple or a few cuts in here. I don't know, just cuz. So yeah, look at that. We got our light pole looking thing. So with the light pole selected, I'm gonna go under Tools, click Smooth for shading, so we don't have that, you know, flat geometric look going on. I'll click Smooth. And yeah, that's pretty much bare. Like, you know, it's definitely not perfect at all. I'm not good with modeling at all. Any modeling that I do is pretty fucking bare bones, just like that. That's it. Yeah, gets the job done. Does all right. Maybe what we should do, yeah, it's just the problem, you know, there's not like a cut here, so you're left with these really stretched out. You know, let's try doing this. Now let's move that out a bit. Okay, let's add a cut here. Move that out a bit. Helps a bit, not much. That's alright with me though. Okay, so we got that. Now what I'm gonna do, and I really feel like how I model things is stupid, and most people are definitely laughing at how I'm doing things, and yeah, understandably, I can see why you would laugh. Here's generally just like, so what I'm gonna do for the light part is I'm going to extrude this out. Then I'm going to go into wireframe mode and select all these faces here, and just size these faces down on the Z axis, which looks stupid, right? It looks dumb. Now I'm going to move it along the Z-axis, move it up or something, and let's see what that looks like. And I literally will do something like that for light poles, and then just put something, a light under here, and it looks good enough. It's not noticeable enough to me. Yeah, fuck. I'm not good at this. Bear with me here. I'm just putting together a rough idea. So yeah, I'll kind of keep it with that. Let's duplicate this with Alt-D, or create an iteration rather, something like that, rather than Shift-D. You could do Shift-D if you want them to have different materials, but if you use Alt-D, then, you know, whatever you do to one of them it's that same thing is applied to every other one of them. Whereas with Shift-D, you know, it's separate data, so yeah, if you change one in any way, it doesn't affect any of the duplications or duplicates. So it's looking okay. It's looking alright. We have our light pole things. Oh, wrong axis. What am I thinking? Okay, we're looking alright so far. Is it hanging over? Yep. Good. Okay, so now second thing. We're definitely beyond second. So I'm going to go, I believe it's under Shift A. If I go under Curve, oh yeah, so if you want to make a tree within Blender, if you're not using any other external programs or files or anything like that, if you want to just make a tree under, in just Blender, here's how you would do it. Here's how you would under Shift A, Curve. Normally this isn't here unless you've enabled a let me think here, what is it called? It's under user preferences and add-on. So if I go to file, user preferences, and search sapling, it's right here, add curve sapling tree gen. So normally this would be unchecked. If you haven't checked it before, you would just check it, click save user settings, and you know, you're good. So now you click Shift A to go to this add menu. Or you could do add from down here. Either or, it doesn't matter. I use Shift A. Gonna go to curve and then sapling tree gen. So we now have our tree looking thing here, right? It's a little too big, so I'm just going to, oh yeah, I forgot. Okay, so when you add things in, say a tree or any shape, it does, or any object like mesh object like primitive. I don't think it really matters where it is. When you add it in, you can select it and everything, but if you change it, like resize it or move it around, this menu over here under the tools panel, this menu where you can change things and alter things goes away, and you can't get this menu back unless you start from scratch. So when you add something in like this and you want to edit it to how it's supposed to be, don't move it around, don't go into edit mode on it, just so add it in, tamper with, change everything you want to change, and then put it in the scene where you want to put it. So I just added in the tree, give them a Shift A, curve, sapling, tree gen. And so now we're going to just change the settings to however we like them. Just add some bevel. Again, these settings, I haven't messed much with the sapling tree gen, so I'm not 100% sure what everything does. And just curve resolution will add in a lot of geometry. Don't want to go too crazy with that. But yeah, so right now we're under geometry, and then we can mess with a bunch of other settings for this tree. So first we'll just do geometry, zoom out a bit, take a look at her, and then we can experiment with different shapes, I guess. Let's go in front view. There we go. Get a better look at our tree. Okay. So I can, go with different overall shapes, I guess. I don't really know what looks good. Just whatever. This is all totally up to you guys, whatever you want to go with. But I'm feeling cylindrical looks good. I guess I want a wide, big tree looking tree. Yeah. Let's go with that. I mean, a lot of the stuff I don't even mess with just because I'm worried that I'm accidentally going to generate an insane amount of geometry and just crash Blender. I don't want to just swipe up branch or something. I'm worried that I'm gonna mess with something, but you guys are totally free to do so. This is just kind of how I do things. I keep things pretty bare bones. So I'm done with geometry. Branch radius. I don't think I ever messed with this stuff very much. I'm okay with close to the default kind of stuff. It's good enough for me. Again, you guys are totally free to explore stuff. So for branch splitting, this is like subdividing branches, if that makes sense. Right now we're at 2 subdivisions. Let's go to 3. Ooh, look at that. Now if we go to 4, then we'd have branches off these branches. But you also have to keep in mind that generates a lot of geometry. And right now we're already at almost 500,000 tries. So be careful with that stuff. For me, 3 levels is good enough. It's high poly enough, especially with the curve resolutions. It's looking okay, especially when I take into account post-processing. I usually intentionally add some grain and mess with colors and just overall contrast and stuff to the point where like it's very fine details with objects are not necessary, I guess. So again, there's tons and tons of stuff you can mess around with the sapling tree generator. Again, I generally don't. I'm good with the default for the most part, unless I have some time on my hands to explore things. But for now, just for this tutorial, I don't want to. I'm just hoping this doesn't take like an hour. So I'm trying to hurry things through a little bit. I'm not doing too well, but bear with me here. So now let's go under branch growth. I remember I didn't mess with that stuff. I'm skipping past it. Pruning. I don't remember exactly what pruning does. What does pruning do? Prune. Oh, interesting. Alright. I am not feeling that though. Very interesting, but not feeling that. Okay, let's go to leaves. Leaves. First, let's show leaves. Alright, so boom. Now we can choose either hexagonal, rectangular, dupla faces. Don't know what that does. Whew, look at that. Jeez, I've never seen that before. Okay, dupliverse. What does this look like? Boy, look at this crazy ass tree going on. Okay, anyways, generally, rectangular's good, hexagonal's good, whatever is easiest to slap a leaf texture on there. But for this scene right here, all of these are just squares. I'm sure that's not terribly surprising, knowing me, but I didn't put any leaf texture on the leaves. I just left them as, or they're hexagons rather. I don't think they're all squares. I think they're the hexagonal leaves. But I figured it's good enough for me. It's not the focal point And especially with the post-processing, even zooming in, I don't think it's terribly noticeable. They may as well be actual leaves, you know, when you actually get down in here. Like, sure, you can see, you know, can you really tell all that much? And even so, I guess that's not the point for most people. Most people want it to be, you know, perfect just for the sake of it being perfect, and I totally understand that. But for me, just putting this together, I'm good with, you know, pretty bare bones kind of stuff. So anyways, I'm just going with hexagonal leaves. I guess it looks slightly more organic than rectangular leaves. And then yeah, I guess we can alter the number of leaves. Let's go like 50, see what that looks like. I'm sorry, I'm gonna end up generating a little too much geometry. You know, I'm gonna tune that down. Let's go with like 30. 30 is a solid number. Wanna be able to see through the branches a little bit. Now, honestly, it's good. Fairly default, but you know, it's good for me. So let's go to armature. Yeah, see, a lot of stuff I haven't messed around with, and I pretty much don't, in all honesty. I really should. I should take some time to look into that stuff, but, you know, okay, so we got our tree. We're looking good, right? So, let's call it good. And after we size it down and move it around or something, that whole menu disappears, right? So, you know, just take that into account. Be careful. You know, don't be dumb. Alright. Shit, our tree is in the city right now. Okay, first, let's take into account how, tall, you know, like, scale of things, I guess. Size our tree down a bit, and let's have it over the side. Kind of coming over a tad. You know, something similar to, like, let's say, this is a road. Let's say, you know, it's on ground. It's not a bridge or anything. Let's say there would just normally be ground here, and maybe just a steep drop off or something, you know, if that makes sense. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's move this light over a little bit, and then tree could probably stay about right there, you know. Maybe bring her down just a little bit to give the, oh, see this coming through. Okay, first let's rotate it. Hopefully we can deal, I don't know. And hold on, trying to find a good, trying to find a good spot where it's not intersecting with the road barrier, but you know, I'm probably not going to find anything perfect. I probably just need to move it back. And look at that, you know, and some little stuff like that, again, I'm fine with sometimes, I guess, like intersections, unless they're blatant, and I don't want them to be blatant. Like something like that might not look so good, but I mean, I don't know, kind of just do things, I don't know, I feel like I do things in a very unorthodox manner. Let's put it just behind the light thing, something like that. That's looking okay. All right, and then let's go ahead and duplicate our tree with Alt D rather than Shift D, just cause I suppose. Let's size this tree down a tad, you know, give a little variation to the scene. Let's move it over here, I suppose, something like that. Let's rotate it on the Z-axis, give a different view. I don't know, again, just add some variation in there. Let's go with something like that. And let's click Alt D once more. Let's size this one up, make him a biggie, not too much though. We don't want to go crazy, right? Let's rotate it on the Z, a little bit of variation, sounds good. Let's keep this one, I guess that's cool. Actually, no, I feel like it's better balanced if I put it there. Okay, alright, we are looking okay. You know what, let's click Shift Z, get a preview render going on so we can see what it looks like just with the default mesh something or other going on. Oh no, I just realized when I duplicated this initial tree, it didn't keep the leaves. Okay, so let's delete these real quick. Now, yeah, is that what happens? It doesn't keep the leaves? Do I have to, like, combine? What is going on? Okay, so, I don't really know how the sapling tree gem works very well, but I know you can select, like, the trunk, like, the branches, and then also select the leaves. So I'm going to, yeah, select, like, the trunk, the branches, and whatnot. Click Shift, and then also select the leaves, so they're selected together. I'll do Alt D, right click to keep it in place, and then I'll move things over. There we go. So rotate it on the Z a bit, like we did initially. Size it down some. Let's move it back, and let's go down, as if, you know, it's like as if we look over this edge, there might be a drop off or a hill, something like that, you know. So trees are kind of down on the hill. That makes sense, something like that. And just move things around to your liking. You know, it's kind of freeform. Do whatever. You know, do what suits you. Do what suits you, man. All right, and we are looking good so far. So now let's take a look at this. Beautiful. All right, gorgeous. You know what? Maybe what we should do is instead of a night scene, I'll go under the world tab here. Go under surface, background, and under color here. If we click this little dot, we'll click environment texture. Click open, and HDRIs are pretty cool. Gives you nice, accurate, you know, like very realistic lighting. I mean, they're literally, you know, photographs of the real world. And I really like this sunset one. I've used it for several things. Don't know why I keep using that one, and I have like almost no HDRIs. I hardly ever use them, but this one in specific, I love nice purpley, pinkish kind of. So I'll just use that one. You can find them all over online. And let's take a look, see what that looks like. All right. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. I still have my sun lamp in there. Boom. Now we're looking good. More sunset, city kind of feel. We getting a feel for how things look? Getting a feel for things? Yeah? I don't know. All right. Oh yeah, what we should do. Okay, if we click Shift Z, we can see that the HDRI cuts off right there. That's not good, right? You can just see this black area down there. So what I'm gonna do is select our city, and actually first, so we can see what's going on, I'm gonna split the view. And then again, we gotta get rid of this like black area over here, this black area over here where there's no HDRI. So what we're gonna do is we have our city selected in the background, and I'm just gonna move that up. And hopefully we can find a good middle ground that allows us to. I'm gonna scale this on the Z axis a little bit and give it a little more height. You know, I guess give a bigger city kind of feel. Maybe something like, I don't know, Los Angeles or something. I don't know. Has anyone been to California? I mean, like, let me know how it is. It's probably pretty good. Almost anyone that has been there. Uh-oh. We got a little space showing. What do we do? What do we do? Real shit. We might just have to duplicate this plane, like, once more or something. Because, I'm not good with quick fixes. I'm also very, very susceptible to just leaving stuff like it is when I probably should cover it up in some way, like that. Okay, so maybe let's move the tree. Oops, we gotta select both the leaves and the branches underneath. Okay, so branches, leaves. So let's move the tree over a bit. Yeah, okay, that helps. That helps. That's good. All right, and that is good enough for me. It's probably still some, you know, just barely. That's all right with me though. We're looking good. All right. So now, let's. This second plane I created, I'm going to get rid of that. Let's click this first plane. Go into top view. So now what we're gonna do, since we have the overall scene kind of going on, you know, pretty simple objects. I've taken forever to do it. I'm slow as hell at everything, but. You know, pretty simple scene, right? Now, I guess what I'm gonna do is start messing around with just textures and all right. So I guess I'll try and put a link to where I've gotten almost all of my textures from, and I use so many of them constantly. I really should find some new ones, but yeah, here's what we're gonna do. So first we have our what is supposed to be a road or street selected. Gonna select that. Assign it a new material under the materials tab here. I'm going to rename it street. And then before we go into the node editor, I don't know why, just from here I'll select the principled shader. If you're not using the principled shader in Blender for most basic materials, you know, you're screwing up, man. So after we got that selected, what we're going to do is go into top view. Go click tab to go into edit mode, make sure everything is selected. Click U for UV mapping. I'm gonna click unwrap, click U again. Then you know, this is what I mean with texturing stuff. This is pretty much what I'm limited to. I am not good with manually texturing anything, so I pretty much from various perspectives and whatnot pick whichever one works best. So I'm going to project a street texture from the top down. See how that works. So I'm just going to project it from this view, right? Alright, so now, yeah, we're in the node editor. Okay, so I'm gonna go Shift A, texture and image texture, and then you know, road textures and whatever textures you want to use for your scene, for any object. You know, I'm sure you guys are smart enough to go out there and find them. You know, you're not dumb. You can find your own textures. So all right, right here, are we thinking this one or this one? I'm thinking, no, wait, I forgot. This is a gloss map for this color map. Oh my god, I am so dumb. All right, yeah, I'm thinking more of a clean street rather than some, you know, dirty, broken kind of. Okay, let's go with that. This is the color map we're going with, so we're gonna change that to color. Put her in there. Actually, right here, we'll go into texture view. All right, have a look-see there. At least we have a texture on there. It's not correct at all, but we've got a texture on this. First, what we're gonna do is add the other according textures, such as the displacement. I don't mess with too often, just because it's so taxing on you know, computer to compute all that. I generally, especially if it's just a road or something, unless it's some close-up shot, I won't use displacement. You know, like gloss and normal maps are good enough for me. You should use gloss maps anyways if you're using displacement, but you know, I generally don't mess around with it unless it's something where I really need attention to detail. So for now, we got the color map, the gloss map, which in Blender, if you plug in a gloss to roughness, they're just inverted, if that makes sense. So if you're in Blender, if you plug a gloss map into roughness, that is where it should go. You just need to click Shift A for add, go under color and click invert. You just need to invert it. They're like a gloss map and a roughness map are just, you know, like they're inverts of each other, if that makes sense. So yeah, fun fact. All right, and now the final one will be our normal map. There it is, and we're gonna put that in there. Shift A, vector, normal map, and strength. Generally don't mess with that. Usually keep it at 1. Usually it does a good job. All right, so first now let's select the color map so we can really see what's going on. Right here we go, color map. Actually, I don't know why I'd like to condense these. There we go. All right, so we have our color map selected. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna click tab, go into edit mode, and then go over to this side of the screen here. Gonna click this, go into UV/image editor, and see here we have our plane. So now let's open up our color something or other right down here. You can click this and then open any texture image you've used in Blender so far. Yeah, we're gonna click on our color map, and we have our plane. And this right here is what's being displayed on our plane, right? First, let's actually, yeah, project from view. There we go. So now what we need to do is rotate this by 90 degrees and size it up a tad. You see this, right? I'm gonna move it on the y-axis just so I can move it straight down. All right, you see that? Boom. I guess we don't need all of it in this scene, do we? I don't know. I mean, this like texturing stuff, this is generally like I'm very much like not very good with this stuff. So you know, bear with me here. Don't be mean to me about it. I kind of just go with what works, and that's looking all right. See that? All right. Now what we might do is just go and duplicate this with Alt D, move it over. And shit, you know, just doesn't quite make sense, but what are we doing? Let's go back into texture mode. See this? You know, it's looking alright to me. Doesn't make sense with the lines and stuff here, like white and then the two yellow. Makes no sense, but it's good enough for me. Beautiful. Alright, so we got our road texture. Although, do you think maybe it should be stretched out a little more? Or no? I don't think it should. I think it's alright. I think it's kind of meant to be like that. We're good. Alright, so now we have this looking thing. Oh yeah, I forgot for I remember when I was looking at this, looking at like I mean a few pictures of road barriers like that, like the base is wider than the top. Like the top is just kind of a rectangular look, right? And then at the base it kind of flares out. That's why you kind of see this line all along here. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that. You know, I don't know, just road barriers. do that kind of thing, I suppose. So what we're gonna do on our stretched out cube here is we're going to go into edit mode, going to do Control R, and you know, you can kind of go to this edge on the sides here, whatever, so you can get a cut here. We're gonna click there and bring it down just above the road. You see the road here? We're gonna bring it up to the point where we want the barrier to start flaring out. So I suppose something like, I suppose that's good right there. So we're gonna unselect everything with A, click face select, and then we honestly just want to go ahead and select all these faces around here. And again, this is just me kind of, what am I thinking here? What did I do? How did I do this? I don't even know how to do basic shit. How did I do this? What the fuck did I do? I think what I did, I think I literally just selected this and then just dragged it out like that. I think that's all I did. Yeah, just a little bending like that. Yeah, looking good. Alright. Basic shit. Alright, we're looking a little better. We got our road texture. Actually, you know, this road texture, it's probably good. Yeah, I was thinking of changing the normal strength, but you know, we're good. Now, this was not fun to try to texture. I did not do very well doing that. Just because I'm not good with much in 3D. Again, I'm hoping that this tutorial makes it apparent that most anyone can do 3D stuff. It's not crazy complex. It's not, I mean, I guess learning it in the first place, learning whatever program you're using can definitely be a learning curve, but after that, a lot of it really is just open to whatever you want to put together, right? You know, cool stuff. Okay, so let's select this whole thing, click U, unwrap, and oops, what are we looking for? We need to go to this view, right? Generally the view from the camera, right? Go into click U again and project from view. Beautiful. Alright, so now let's go back into our camera view, click Shift Z for a preview render here, split the view, let's drag that over a little more, go into node editor over here. We haven't given it a material though, so nothing is going to show up. Let's assign it a new material and let's rename it. What are we going to name it? Road barrier, I guess, or no, street barriers, because we had the other thing named street barrier. And then principal shader. So now let's just find some cracked cement looking texture. I mean, that's about all there is to it. So let's go to image texture. Let's give it a color for now. Textures, and I've used this one for a lot of stuff, but the thing is it's too close up. I don't think that was my problem with the road barrier thing. I couldn't find one. None of the textures I currently have are like scale wise good for like large objects like that without getting repetition. And generally, if I'm going to come across repetition, me personally being the lazy artist I am, I generally just think like, well, can't do it. So I'll find some workaround that probably is a waste of time. I should just be taking the time and effort to figure out how to not repeat textures. And I know that's all basic stuff. There's so much basic stuff that I haven't even taken the time to try to look into, and I'm sure other people are likely to make fun of me for that. That's fine though, but for now, you know what, I wonder if I tried this but without the color map, just like the gloss and the norm. I wonder if that would, I wonder what that would look like. I don't know. Actually, for now, let's try this concrete thing. Let's try this. Let's see how that looks. You know, see what I mean? Okay, first let's add in the other maps first. Image texture, non-colored data, textures. Go to grid view like this. Wait. Oh, gloss. And remember, with gloss maps again, plug it into roughness. We need to invert that. And see, like right now it's very glossy looking, very flat. Boom. Now our roughness is correct. Alright, and one more. Texture, image texture, non-colored data, textures, grid view, and then the normal map. Boom, this is where things start popping, my guy. Beautiful. color. No, what am I thinking? Vector, normal map. Boom. All right. See, the problem is that this texture, obviously the scale is way, way off. But you know, it'll do for the most part, right? It'll do. So let's go into, what am I thinking? UV image editor. Let's open up the street texture again. See what I mean? Like, this texture is meant to be viewed more up close, but I have this supposed to be large object on such a small text. You know, does that make sense? So, you know, obviously if I scale it up, we're just going to get this texture repeating over and over and over and over. So generally what I'll do is I literally just try to find the middle ground, the size at which you don't see much repetition. Like here you can see this little patch here and this little patch here, they're the same. So there's a little bit of repetition. Something like that is good with me. It's good enough anyways, you know. But I think I'll put the strength up to 2. I don't know. Make it pop a little more rough, bumpy, something like that. But yeah, look at that. Looking good. Okay. Now for the tree. Again, very simple stuff. Looks like the branches. Let's assign our new material. Let's go with the branches. Change that to principled shader, and I don't want the branches to be shimmery at all. Let's bump up the roughness to honest, like, I don't know, 0.8, almost all the way up there. And let's change that color to brown. Brown is kind of in this range. Need to find a deeper brown, something like that, you know, a deep, like a dark wood, nice dark tree bark wood. All right, so should be looking okay. We're in texture mode. What am I thinking? I don't really know. Okay, now we got that. That should translate to the other trees because they're just instances of this first tree. So then let's click on the leaves. Let's assign the leaves a texture. Let's name the leaves. Let's go to principled shader again, and then roughness. Don't care to have them shimmer much. Let's go to, like, I don't know, 0.4, I guess. Maybe a little more shimmery, not that it's gonna show. Let's change that to just a nice green. Let's turn it down. Yeah, nice green color, something really. And I don't know, what green am I thinking? Right there's looking okay, maybe. Maybe let's bump it up just a tad. Let's get a little bit of lighter green. Not too dark, not too light. Alright, so we got that. Let's take a look at how this looks so far, maybe. Alright, now we're looking a little better. See that? You know, it's looking enough like a tree. Beautiful. Don't have to fuck around with textures and whatnot. If it's not the focal point, anyways, I guess. Other people, and I'm sure I should be taking the time to actually put textures on things and, you know, put proper effort into things, but shit, man, I can't be moved enough to deal with that. These lights are gonna be a problem. I am embarrassed at this. Do you see this? Oh my god. Like, shit, man. I'm not good with the light stuff. You know what we're gonna do right now, just real quick? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hop on Turbo Squid, which is one of my favorite sites for just cool various 3D models. We're gonna search light pole, see what comes up, see if there's anything that's free. Or lamp post. Should I be typing lamp post? Lamp post? Lamp post? Is it one word, 2 words? Something like that. I should be going with something like this. One of these, like 49 bucks. I cannot be moved to purchase. Something like that, like 9 bucks or something like this. That would be perfect, right? These are really good. But here's what we'll do. 65 things. We're gonna go with some basic stuff, right? Find something that's free, add a light on it, and call it good. Hopefully there's something on here. I mean, something like this is nice, but it's double-sided. I don't need 2 sides. I think I might go with something like max file. Here's an OBJ file. See, look at that. You know, something like that at least looks more realistic, I suppose. You know, let's download it. Actually, you know, fuck it. I'm not fucking around with it. let's keep the light post as is, and if people have complaints, they have complaints. You guys are obviously free to figure out how to model something like this better than I do, but I cannot be pressed to, I don't know, just, yeah, I can't be moved to, model things that I don't really care to model unless I need to. Not me, jelly bean. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is add some kind of light to these, I guess. But the thing is, it's okay, the scene is like dusk, you know? It's not quite dark enough to need lights, but should we add a light anyways? I think we should. I think we should add a light anyways. Okay, so let's just select the face spirits, click. I believe it's, hold on. What is it? No. What did we just click? What is it? I don't remember the command. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So if I do Control Shift Alt C, I can move the 3D cursor here, which is now in like 3D space out here somewhere. I don't really like just clicking to put it somewhere because I have no idea where it's gonna end up. I guess it's just in the air somewhere. But anyways, let's select this face here, something like that. And then do Control Shift Alt C and put the 3D cursor here. So wait, hold on. Wow, what is it? Why can't I remember what it is? I can't remember the hotkey. That is not the hotkey. Origin to 3D cursor. I do 3D cursor to selection. The Shift S? Yeah, it's Shift S. Oh my lord. Okay, so cursor to selected. Beautiful. Okay, so now let's add in something like a UV sphere. It's pretty big. Size that bitch down. Let's size this along the X. You know, get a little more like, says this on the Y. So get a little more of a light kind of look. Something, my guy. You feel me? You feel me? All right. Beautiful. Alright, now we got something like that. Let's add some smooth shading on that. Beautiful. It's something. Alright, gorgeous. Now, let's set that to be like a, let's call it glass. And we're going to set it to principled shader, turns transmission all the way up, and roughness at like 0.4. Then we're going to duplicate this with Shift D so we can set it with a different material. Size it down a little bit. And get rid of the material, add a new one, and add light in all caps. Oops. I don't know why. Anytime I'm using a light, I caps it for some reason. Let's change that to emission shaders. Put it at like 2 for strength maybe. Let's see what that looks like. So we have a little glass sphere thing, right? And then a light underneath it. And let's see what that looks like. Let's get the 3D cursor out of there. You know, good enough. Not the focal point. Pretty damn noticeable, but good enough for me. Yeah, alright, beautiful. Okay, so now what I'm going to be doing is these two spheres I just made, right? The glass one and the light one. I'm going to duplicate them and move them over to this light. Let's see how close I got that. Damn, almost perfect. That was very close. So zoomed out, jeez. Alright, and beautiful. Now we have our lights. Okay. So, now, one of my favorite parts to come close to wrapping things up, I suppose. Even though I could have done so much more with the scene to make it more realistic, right? I could have done a lot more. But, what are we going to do? First, I'm actually going to move the camera view up a little bit, so the city's a little more centered, I suppose. Something like that. See what it looks like. And, boom, look at that. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we have the view split right now. And in this, where we're going to be working, going to go into 3D view. Now, right now, this whole thing is, you know what I might have to do, all these faces are too large for me, so what I might have to do is I'm going to select all of it and just start subdividing shit. It's going to be pretty damn high poly by the time I finish this. But I need faces small enough to where I can set random faces to have an emission shader. If that makes any sense. So for now, let's set the thing as a whole to have a very rough metallic material. Let's call it city, I guess. Let's go with principled shader, metallic. Change the roughness to like 0.6 or something. You know, a little bit of shimmeriness, you know, nothing too high, but like, let's try like 0.5. What does that look like? Looks a little better. Pops a little more. I like it. It's good enough. You know, simple stuff. So now, okay, the whole city is set to have this metallic something or other. So I'm going to click tab, go into edit mode, unselect everything first of all. Then I'm going to what am I thinking? Oh, go under select. And right now this is super high poly for my computer anyways. Trust me, I do not have all that powerful of a PC, especially on the CPU end. So I'm going to click random to randomly select faces. Oops, I need to be in face select mode. I don't want to be selecting vertices. So yeah, now I'm going to go into select random. Give me a sec while this computes. Click T to open the tools panel thing so I can choose how much of these are, you know, selected. Let's go like 10%. You know, when I don't know if you're ever doing something like this where you're just setting random faces to have to emit light, you obviously don't want too many faces emitting light, or it really just looks overwhelming. Not that my work is ever very overwhelming, but funny. I know. 3%, that's a little low. Let's go with like 5%. Again, this is all pretty rough. I'm not putting all that much time and effort into this one. Just kind of construct things very roughly. But, alright, so we got some random faces selected right now. Is that finalized? There we go. So now, with those faces selected, with just 5% of total faces selected, I'm going to click on the plus here for another material. I'm going to click new. And again, bear with me. Oh, what I should be doing is unrendering that. That'll probably help speed things up. Let's name this new material. It's not helping much. Okay, let's name City Light. Hold on. Oh god. LIGHC. There we go. And then change that to emission. Beautiful. And then we're gonna set the strength to like, my guess is that 1 is alright, but I'm gonna set it to 2. And okay, after we've done that, with these faces still selected, we need to click assign. We need to assign these selected faces to this new material that we created, if that makes any sense. So now we're finished with that and out of edit mode, because edit mode is unbelievably slow, especially on my computer. Let's get a preview render thing going on. Give that a second. And boom. We're looking city-ish. The problem is, okay, so what I was able to do, okay, so this piece, the original one that I made, looked pretty garbage and arguably still does, especially the city area. First of all, it's just very noisy. I didn't put too many samples, like rendering samples on it or anything. Let me think here. Oh yeah, it just, so if I go into Blender and preview render this real quick, what I'm getting at is that the lights in the city are obviously just look very unrealistic, I guess. Maybe down low, not really. The lights are small enough that they make sense with these big blocks and whatnot. So I really kind of, I guess, hid that in a way with volumetrics. Like if I went under volume and clicked volume scatter. But the problem is, if I do that, let's change the density of this volume down to like 0.05 or something. Let's go to like 0.1, change the anisotropy, don't know. Change that to like 0.9. I don't know, just adding fog, it adds a little something like aesthetically, and it also helps this very unrealistic looking city looks somewhat realistic-ish. Maybe I'll do some post-processing, something make it look better, but for now, if we want this HDRI in there, no post-processing. But what we might do is, for this HDRI, I'm going to turn down strength. Let's try like 0.2. We want like a nice dusk look. That's looking good. Alright, so first these spheres, we want these lights to be a little more powerful because they're not illuminating the street very well now, are they? So let's click on one of the spheres, the light sphere anyways. Change that strength to like 10. What about like 500? I know what the problem is. I know where it is, dog. Okay. You know, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just get rid of the outside, like the glass sphere surrounding the light sphere on the inside. Okay. So this, I need to size it up a bit as well. Okay. So now I should be able to illuminate the street a little better, I suppose. I think what I did with that original piece, I think what I did with this is I used a spotlight. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. So I could create this, you know, looking downwards thing rather than light going in every direction all around, which I think is what's going to be happening here. I guess, oh yeah, I forgot, I don't have any volumetrics on either, so I mean, that's whatever. But, you know, this is looking okay. Or maybe I'm thinking just don't have it emitting light at all. Just leave it at that. Have this HDRI maybe bump that up to like 0.4, a little more strength so you see the road some. Don't know. Honestly, might call it good at that. The city I'll probably turn down to like 1 for strength because it is pretty bright right now. I'm gonna go like, let's go way low, like 0.1. That's way too low, obviously. 0.2, 0.5. And we'll probably have to keep it at 1. That looks good. There's enough illumination. Looks decent-ish, I suppose. I don't really know. Okay, yeah. Then the final step was a little person sitting on the edge. Which, what I do is I use a program called Daz for a lot of that stuff. Like this right here. I'll actually open it real quick and show you a little something, I suppose. Not making anything, or well, I don't make anything in Daz. Again, I don't have a very good understanding of it. I pretty much just use the default characters that they have, pose it, then export it as an OBJ to use in Blender. But yeah, Daz Studio, I have version 4.9, but I'm sure there's been updates since that. I got it a while ago. Probably shouldn't have opened Daz now. But yeah, that's what I use. Oh yeah, well I guess I'll show people. So let's say Genesis 2 or Genesis 3. So I'll find that under, I don't know, just look around. If you ever get Daz, look around in here for the Genesis males and females or whatever. Put them into your little viewport here, a perspective view. You can view around, and then you know you can click on various parts of them, and then you know, I don't know, you can mess with it, you can pose them and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'll do. And then after let's say I wanted to export this and use it in something, I would go File, Export, and then I can export it as like an OBJ or kind of whatever I want, you know, and open it in Blender or whatever else. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of what I do with Daz. Again, very basic stuff, but I did have that one woman that I used in the original image. What am I thinking? I am having a brain fart right now. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, my OBJ file. I think I started naming them. Female, no. Woman sitting on ledge. That's what it is. Beautiful. Okay. So yeah. Oh, once I import that. Oh yeah, when I do import characters from Daz, they're, you know, broken up into pieces, right? So when you import a character like this, everything's currently selected, I guess, if that makes any sense. But I need to select one of these, select your face, click Control J. So now it's just all one solid file rather than being broken up into individual pieces with a bunch of different, you know, separate objects. So yeah, looking good. First, let's move her over to this thing. up, go left, rotate on the Z, let's move her down, and zoom in on her, see, like, you know, and then just try to line things up. I remember having to pose her to like sit on an edge like this was very painstaking. That was very tedious. Switch on and see a little more. There we go, something like that. So, you know, it looks like she's kind of resting her hand there, and yep. Whoa. Excuse me. Yeah. This booty, man. Beautiful. Okay, yeah, see, I'm not good. I know in DAZ and other programs you can put clothes on characters and stuff. I'm pretty lazy, again, so I pretty much just put a character, you know, wherever I need him, I guess. If I wanted someone sitting on the ledge, I'll have him sitting on the ledge. But she is looking a little bit, maybe. No, she's really not. Maybe she's looking, I have the scale so messed up in this piece. Bear with me here. Ah, this is pretty bad, but, you know, okay, I'm just going to Control Z, because everything was fine before. There we go. Everything's fine. Scale's not quite right. She's way too small. I need to size her up, like, right now. Then let's rotate on the Z so her hand is actually on the surface. Is her hand touching the surface there? Zoom in. Not quite. Let's call that good. She's sitting on the surface? Yeah, pretty much. Okay. All right. The thing is, these are way too small. Let's size these on the Z or some shit, dog. You know what? Maybe we'll just move this, or hold on. We'll move all these things up. Something like that. Beautiful. So at least you don't have to look at one of these ugly ass things. Here we go. I guess, yeah, that's generally how I'll kind of put together a simple scene, something or other, you know. It's something. It's not great, but it's something nonetheless. That's that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I doubt I gave very many people very many useful tips, but gave you something. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to me just ramble. I feel exhausted. I just feel like I ran a marathon. Man. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I'll probably render this out. I don't know if I'll post it, though. I'm not terribly proud of it right now. Obviously, I hardly did anything. Oh, shit, I didn't texture these. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, same kind of thing as anything else. Yeah, make sure everything's selected. You would, oops, I clicked size. Make sure everything's selected. Click U, unwrap, and then these are cylinders, I guess. So, cylinder projection. You know, go into node, like, set it to have a material, like, say, cylinder. Or light. It's called lamppost. There we go. You know, and do whatever principled shader, and then that, you know. I guess I'm just doing it all the way through. Then right here, Shift A, texture, image texture, open. You would open whatever textures you want, you know. Pretty straightforward, simple stuff, I guess. Yeah, this is just something that I needed to post something. I've been talking about posting some sort of tutorial forever ago, and I guess I finally did it. It's pretty garbage though. I need to stop talking down on my tutorials, whatever. Man. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, everyone. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I don't know, man. Have a good one. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good one.